just like pearls. Best thing in the world. I never traded you for anybody else singing.
Yeah. The older you get, man, the more you appreciate, you know, the real best. They don't get offended when you say shit real best. Hey, yo, we go. Let me know when that drop. Yeah, louder. Talk to me different. Let's come up together. Fuck your ex nigga. If you fuck me better, let's go to Neiman's.
Wow. That was Wale. Gotta love Wale. Gotta love Wale. So the first question that I'm going to ask each of you is to share a bit about you in 1 minute or less. Give us a highlight. So we'll start in exactly 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going to listen to some India. Y'all know what song this is? I still remember when a band played this in
I do. Wonderful. 2003, Aggie Fry.
You are the sunshine of my life, another Shakespeare of your time. You're like a ribbon in the sky. You are a poet's endless rhyme. You take me to a higher ground, and then you knock me off my feet. Lately I've been thinking about you, 'cause you've been creeping in my dreams. You inspire me, the way you make me feel inside is amazing. Your honesty, your artistry is engaging. You are everything I hope to be. You have touched my soul. How are you to know you are my hero? You got so much soul, to put it plain and simple. You are wonderful. Ooh, I am your woman in red. I am girl blue. Yeah. I am the black orchid. I am a golden lady too. Yeah. You bring the music out of my heart to elevate humankind. That's why I'm sharing my amour. You're in the visions I explore. You inspire. Way you make me feel inside is amazing. Your honesty, your artistry is engaging, and you are everything I hope to be.
Okay. So welcome you all. Every Wednesday over the last couple of months, I've been having a coffee and chat. And part of the reason that I decided to do this is to educate our Black and brown babies. I started Epiphany a couple of years ago. And it's eventually going to be a virtual mentoring company. But I've learned that so many of our students, and especially teachers and even librarians, they have no idea what HBCUs, what they stand for. And so I challenged myself to find some of the best HBCU graduate students and highlight us, because oftentimes we are very underlooked. And so today I thank you all for being a part of my coffee and chat. And we are going to speak with North Carolina A&T State University engineer graduates. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to be amongst so many great Aggies. So I want to start off first with, if I could do Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, if you would share a bit about yourself and just share whatever you want to share.
Sure. So I am Quincy Brown. I majored in electrical engineering when I went to A&T. It was the best experience for me. I wholly and often credit my attendance in graduating from A&T with where I am today. I know I would not be here if I hadn't had that opportunity to be at A&T and in a way, and HBCU in general, but A&T specifically in engineering in a way that allowed me to grow in all of the ways that I needed. Since graduating, I've changed disciplines a bit to computer science. And so I have a master's and PhD in computer science and have been a computer science professor at an HBCU at Bowie State University, have also worked in the nonprofit and policy space.
That's awesome. And Dr. Brown, I see that you went to Drexel too. I also have a degree from Drexel in their library science program.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. So Miss West, would you share?
Sure. I'm Toria West. I am a graduate of North Carolina A&T in electrical engineering as well, class of 2002. I would be remiss if I didn't start off by saying, though, Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Thank
I know I
you.
should have did that.
So my years at A&T were amazing. I love A&T. Anyone that knows me knows, like, I rep A&T all day, every day. I'm Aggie born, Aggie bred. And I think what A&T gave me was more than just an education. A&T prepared me for my career. A&T prepared me to go out in the workforce and be my best self. And as a female, as an African-American, and as an engineer. So I've worked in the energy space for about 20 years. I've done, I would say, non-traditional engineering roles. So most of my roles have been in sales in my career. So I have been in sales engineer, what we call account management. I did a stint in procurement because I got my MBA and I wanted to try something new. And I've made my way now back into sales, still in energy, but focusing more on software versus hardware.
Awesome. Miss Littlejohn, you're muted. You're muted. Let me unmute you.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm muted, falling all over the place. Excuse me. My name is Janaea Littlejohn, and I'm a two-time graduate of North Carolina A&T. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering, and I went straight through to get my master's in bioengineering. Like Turia, I am in technical sales as well. Upon graduating, I initially was in a commercial leadership program within GE Power and Water, followed by Suez, now with the company called USP Technologies under the Danaher family. And once in school, I had no idea what my future would look like and that I would even end up in sales. I thought I would be going to med school after graduating, but I mean, life takes a turn of events, and I like what I'm doing. I know there'll be more questions throughout this panel, but there has been so many ups and downs in my short career. I call it a short career, as I graduated with my master's in 2013. So I've been in the industry since then, but so many ups and downs to get where I am, and where I am is in the most happy place that I've been since graduating college. So I'm excited to share with you all the ups and downs, roller coasters, and just pour a little love into everyone watching this live.
Oh, thank you. And Miss Rich.
Hey everybody, Aggie Pride to everybody. I'm Jessica Rich. I am the highway safety engineer for the Tennessee Division of the Federal Highway Administration. I graduated from North Carolina A&T in civil engineering in 2001. And I also want to give a shout out to all the blue and gold marching machine people on the call right now. I marched in the band while I was there, and being in the band and being an engineering student was a challenge, but it got done, and it got done in 4 years. I went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee, and got a master's in civil engineering, specializing in transportation studies. And then I came to work for the Federal Highway Administration, and I've been working there for 18 years. And so I've been in Nashville for 16 years, and My primary responsibility is keep people safe on the highways and try to reduce fatalities and serious injuries as people are traveling on the roads. And that's all for me.
Don't know nothing in the industry. They're in the industry.
There's someone talking.
We fixed it. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna start off with a question for each of you all, and I would like for you all to share your responses. Who actually encouraged you to move forward in a career in engineering? Like that's a career where I know for me, I didn't know any Black women in engineering. I didn't know anyone in engineering, to be honest with you. So, you know, you think about the time period that you all were in school, that we were in school, because I'm about your age too. But you know, who encouraged you to become an engineer? And let's start with Jessica.
So really no one encouraged me to become an engineer. I grew up in a small town, New Bern, North Carolina, where a lot of people were either teachers or business owners, or they worked in a factory. And so I just wanted to do something different from that. And I just did my own research. I liked math. I liked structures and the outer environment and how that was built. And I just continuously did research on my own and figured, oh, civil engineering, let me do that. And then it wasn't until I did an internship, my first internship in transportation with North Carolina Department of Transportation, which is when I decided transportation was the area I wanted to go into.
Okay.
I figured it out on my own.
Okay. What about you, Toria?
I was very fortunate to go to a high school that offered a magnet program that focused in engineering. And in my 11th and 12th grade year, I had the opportunity to go to the University of Alabama, Huntsville, and do like a summer program that focused on different aspects of engineering. So I got exposure to mechanical engineering, aerospace, mechanical, electrical engineering. And, you know, really from there kind of like knew that, okay, yep, I know I'm going to go to school. I know I'm going to major in engineering. And now I know I'm going to major in electrical engineering because I have been blessed to have this, you know, this exposure and this experience.
Okay. What about you, Dr. Brown?
So yeah, I grew up in New York City, and similar to Taria, I went to a program at the Coast Guard Academy when I was in high school, and we learned about the different types of engineering. I fell in love with circuits and circuit design there, you know, putting the transistors and the resistors and the breadboards. It was, I don't know, super fascinating to me. And so that's when I fell in love with electrical engineering. I thought at the time I was going to join the Coast Guard Academy. I can't swim, so that didn't go very, very far. And at the time I was a babysitter. So, you know, again, trying to earn some money, I was a babysitter, and the person I babysat for had a friend who went to A&T and graduated with a degree in electrical engineering. His first name is Jamie. I don't remember his last name now, but he was like, okay, well, if you want to be like an electrical engineer, you should go to A&T. And so that was it.
Oh, that's sweet. Janaea, that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to be a dentist, but I never made it to dental school because I had someone who I was babysitting. He was a dentist. I'm like, well, I want to be a dentist too. And there were a couple of other reasons too, but Janaea?
For me, so it seems like the common thread is a lot of what you're influenced to early on impacts your future. So for me, I started going, so I'm from New Jersey. My mom would put me in summer programs every summer, beginning from the 7th grade all through high school at New Jersey Institute of Technology. So each summer there's a different discipline of engineering that we will cover, and also prep you for the next year in whatever science or math you would be matriculating into. So that kind of shaped, okay, so I know I love math and science. I want to do something where I can help people. And during those programs, we would visit different maybe manufacturing or R&D type of facilities. So you can see, you know, people in the day-to-day, them kind of just explaining their careers and just getting you exposed to what STEM looks like and early on. And also, I think for me, it had been a very supportive family, because my mom, out of 5 siblings, she was the only one that went to college. So me and my sister had her as the example, but my family, even though they may have not had the degrees or furthered their education, it always pushed on us, be the best you could be. So I always knew I wanted to impact the world, as well as have receive the positive impact from my family and make them proud. So that was really, what got me going into the engineering field and continue on into it.
So you said something, and each one of you all have connected the dots with me too, to show me that it's really important to have a mentor. Do you remember your mentor? And then also kind of elaborate a little bit more on the importance of having a mentor in such a career, or such a career path?
Well, for me, that mentorship really began in high school. I was a part of a program called New Horizons. So they would take you on college tours, and it was all minority folks. So every person that was a part of the management of the program went to an HBCU. So my favorite was North Carolina A&T. They were a part of the Greek organization. So just things that inspired me, that I wanted to aspire to be. That's what I got to see every Wednesday night. And they ended that program with giving you a scholarship. So they kind of put you on the path of, let me expose you to what an HBCU is, because there are no HBCUs located in New Jersey or within 100, 200-mile radius within the state. So those were my initial mentors, as well as I was able to be in programs in high school, at my high school, that had Black counselors. So that helped, people who looked like me, people who, had matriculate, went to college, and just able to really guide me into the right direction. And I never really lost my way within a high school that was the most diverse high school in New Jersey. However, I had brown people that looked like me, that wanted me to succeed, that held my hand through those 4 years. So that was pivotal in my beginning the mentorship kind of phase of my life.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Jessica?
So as far as mentors, I got most of my mentors in college. One of my mentors was one of my professors. And I remembered senior year, I'm sitting there between having to go work for North Carolina DOT, which is what I didn't want to do, and going to go to graduate school, which is what I wanted to do. And I just went into her office, and she was just like, "What do you want? What is it that you want?" And so I talked with my friend Solomon Cavanis, who graduated from A&T and went to the University of Tennessee. And he was just like, they'll pay you to go to school. They'll give you a stipend. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how to tap into that, but okay. So I went and told Dr. Perkins that that's what I wanted. And I also talked to her about the Federal Highway Administration. And so she kind of gave me some avenues on how to apply for federal highway. And back then you had to like mail in your application. It wasn't like an online thing. You mailed in your application or your resume, and they sent me a letter back, and they were like, you didn't specify anything. So I was like, okay. So I went back and I told her about the whole University of Tennessee thing. And the next day I got a call while I was on my on-campus internship from the University of Tennessee. And he was just like, yeah, you want to start May the 31st? Like, I didn't even have to apply. He just kind of accepted me to go to school. And it was everything I had said. And I think she made a phone call to her colleague that she was doing a research project with at the University of Tennessee. And that's how it all went. And so, yes, mentors can help you get to the next level. You just have to open your mouth.
Yes. And you are definitely, one thing I love about you, Jessica, is that you are very, you're a networker. You definitely do put people together. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you never know who you're going to meet.
Mm-hmm. Toria? would you share?
I would say for me, my mentors have been unofficial, if you will. And I just want to highlight that every mentor doesn't have to be like, oh, we have a mentor-mentee relationship, meaning I learned from people who are in my space. I'll start with high school. I would say my mentor was my electronics teacher and CAD teacher. Like, he didn't even know he was my mentor, but just the way he taught, the way he exposed us to, electrical engineering and even mechanical engineering when thinking about CAD, gave me just more like confidence. The fact that I could pass his class and that he was not an easy teacher, gave me confidence. So he didn't even know I don't think he knew he was a mentor. And looking back, I don't think I looked at him necessarily as a mentor then, but he absolutely was. And then as I progressed on through college and even in my career, I'm very, very intentional about who I surround myself with. So people who are like-minded or who are where I want to be, or where I think I'm going. And I am a listener. I listen, I ask questions, and I take notes, and I move that way. So I've had a lot of mentors. Many of them, some of them know, some of them don't know. They've been managers, they've been coworkers, they've been peers, they've been teachers, because there's no one way to go after mentorship.
I agree. I definitely agree. Dr. Brown?
Yeah, so I'll say that in the early years, I guess sounds kind of corny, but I watched a lot of Different World, dating myself. So my mentor
I love A Different World. I still watch A Different World. It comes on Amazon, right?
Going down south. I mean, came from television, but once I got to A&T, I don't know that I had explicit mentor relationships, but when I started co-oping, I was a co-op at Cummins Engine Company, starting around my sophomore, junior year, somewhere in there. I met a woman, Tony, who was a Black woman, electrical engineer from, Indiana, or from Ohio, but she lived in Indiana at the time. And so she kind of became a mentor, just is also like a big sister, someone who had, not necessarily had an HBCU background, but had an electrical engineering degree and was working in industry. And so we've kept up, we're really close now. And she's been like a constant through my life in helping me kind of with the twists and turns of career navigation. I've also in recent years gotten a professional coach. So I know we're talking about mentoring, but that's also an option, and someone who I've then been able to call on at times for like when I needed to focus and get myself together. I can call on a coach. And so I think I've had unofficial mentors, but then also the professional coach, which has been really helpful.
Yeah, that's really important. And it kind of leads to my next question. What are some challenges that you all face as Black women engineers? Jessica, you want to say something first?
And that's the thing. So I'll say early in my career, well, even before I had a career, I had multiple internships. I had several internships in transportation, construction, surveying, stuff like that. So one of the challenges was, I guess, not feeling like I was being taken seriously. I would be one of the interns and there'd be always this white male intern, and they would give him some of the harder jobs and give me some of the less difficult jobs. And so I had to speak up and just be like, I'm in engineering school and this would be very beneficial to my learning for my career. Can you give me some things to do? And they would turn around and do it. But I felt like they weren't taking me seriously as a Black woman.
Okay. Toria?
I think for me, I'll start with college, like with just engineering. Engineering is not easy. Let's just call it what it is. It's not easy. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. So I think, a challenge in college was just recognizing like that, there are some things I'm not going to be able to do. as far as some social gatherings that I may not be able to attend all the time, or some sleep that I will miss out on because I need to study or do homework, whatever. That's just for like undergrad, just for anyone that's out there listening who's a student who may be considering engineering. Not to sugarcoat it like, oh, it's, you know, it's easy. It wasn't easy, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And as far as my career goes, challenges with being an engineer, a Black woman engineer, is, for me, I don't see enough of me in my industry. I'm in energy or power, and there's just, you know, when I show up, I am the only one. And it's like, it's 2020, what? And I'm still the only one. Come on. And going to A&T, it's like, well, I know that we exist because I was surrounded by us. So, and then you go in the workforce and you progress, and there's still like, you can, you know, point us out in a room. And so that for me has been just a challenge. Just as I progressed in my career, it's just not seeing more of me.
I have a follow-up question for you before I get to Janaea about the same question. But what could we do to increase the awareness, or to target more, to recruit more Black females in engineering at a young age? Like Janaea mentioned that when she was in middle school, high school, you know, going through college, she was in these programs. So what could we do to create more programs to help our youth?
I think exposure is extremely important. I think like when our youth are looking at or thinking about what they want to do and what they want to be, there, you know, and even when you're talking about engineering, engineering isn't linear. It's a very dynamic field. So a lot of times when you think about engineering, people think, oh, I'm just going to be maybe sitting behind a computer or working out calculations. Well, Miss Littlejohn and I, based on what she said, we probably have never done that in our careers. And I will probably never do it in my career. And I'm still an engineer. I'm no less of an engineer than anyone else. So I think it's really about educating our teachers, people who have the ear of students, and educating them on what engineering is, what it can be, how it can be beneficial, and then giving them exposure to what that looks like. So bringing people in that talk to them about their experience. Platforms like these. One of the things that I've done in previous companies is I have raised my hand to volunteer, to say, hey, I want to go and recruit. I want to go and talk to, you know, go back to A&T or whatever college you're recruiting at the time, and talk about what I do so they can see me. And many of us that are engineers and that are female engineers, you know, talking about it, like putting ourselves out there to say, hey, look, we exist. This is who we are. This is where we are. This is what we do. And partnering with schools, partnering with teachers. I mean, there's a number of things that can be done, but I think exposure and education are the two critical areas.
I think that too. I remember a few years ago, Ms. Littlejohn spoke to my class about her one of her most recent position that she had. And I remember a young man, I still remember him sitting there. He was so engrossed at what she was saying about her position. Like, she explained everything that she did. And he was a student that most of the teachers were like, you know, he's not going to go to college. He's not going to do this. But listening to her, it made him want to. He said, wow, I never knew I could do that. Like, I still remember his name. I still remember the look on his face. I'm sure I even recorded him, but it was like one of the most just happy. It was a happy moment for me to see that. So you're right. Exposure is definitely key. Miss Littlejohn, you remember the question? Because I know I kind of, you're muted.
Please repeat the question.
What are the challenges of being a Black woman in engineering?
Ooh, where do I start?
What challenges have you faced?
All right, so let's just start. I'm just gonna be real candid because I feel like that's just necessary, because there are things that I just got through, because as Black women, what do? We push through and are very resilient, right? My junior year of college, I wasn't doing so well in my chemical engineering program. But then I also was thinking, all right, well, what else can you do? But then I also felt, Janaea, you're way too deep in to change and pivot to anything else at this point. Mm-hmm. So I pushed on. And my GP, I pushed on, I did graduate, and I felt as though by the time I graduated, my GPA wasn't quite where I wanted to be, but I got an opportunity from A&T to continue on to get my master's in bioengineering, which I did, and I absolutely killed it. And so from there, I got into a commercial leadership program at GE. So I was with GE/Suez because the company was brought out for 7 years. And I just left them this past December, which was the best decision of my life. I felt, well, I appreciate my experience there because it taught me so much, the technical acumen, the business acumen that I needed to propel my career. But I feel like my career launch pad was very stagnant. I was not growing. And I take accountability for things I do or things I do not do, but I felt like I was in an environment that didn't necessarily want me to succeed and was okay with me being where I was, or giving me the extra stuff as though I was the help. I'm just being candid, as though I was the help. And for about 2 years, I think when I first moved to Charlotte, things were okay. But about 2018, I'm just like, I'm not happy. And so like things went downhill, and I feel like I still have a little PTSD to this day. And when I say things went downhill, I felt as though, as everyone said, I was the only woman plus minority in these rooms. I look youthful. So, a lot of times when I'm trying to influence my clients, the customers, they looking at me like, who is this little girl? What is she talking about? We ain't really listening. So where's your manager so we can verify? It was always those types of situations. And not saying, I'm still essentially in a similar industry. So not that I'm not going to experience that, but this company, I just felt like I wasn't supported. And so in those moments, and I'm just going on a little tangent, in those moments, mentorships. Kiera is actually one of my mentors. People that are around me in my support system, I was able to lean on them, as well as, I'm gonna put it out there, therapy and prayer, y'all. Okay. I feel like that is what has gotten me to where I am, because I had to take leave from that job to figure out what Janaea wanted to do. And with me taking leave, I was able to step back, really reevaluate what I needed from a company and where I wanted to go in my career. And honestly, a piece of what I needed, one of those factors, was the culture of the company. I was in a company that who I was as an individual, it didn't matter, right? It's the small things, Women's Month, Black History Month. Why are we not talking about this? Things that happen in the African American community. Let's talk about it, because, we're in rooms and you all are silent. Your answer is nothing, it's saying nothing, right? Saying nothing about it. So being in that environment, toxic for me. I had to go. And where I am now, like I said, not to say it's gonna be grand and just so much different, but I'm in a space of I feel like I belong at the table, right? And where I was, I didn't feel like I belonged at the table. And when I refer to the whole PTSD thing, I just never was comfortable, right? I never was in a comfortable space of like, I belong here. So for a few years, I doubted myself and my ability of who I was. And, just the technical piece about me, like, I'm smart as hell. And a lot of times in the rooms that I sit in, I'm smarter than these men that are sitting around me, right? But I stifled my voice, right? So where I am now, with a lot of prayer and therapy, I have been faced, even though I've been in my role for the last, it'll be 3 months. It was 3 months yesterday. I am in a space of where I may, passive aggressions may happen, but I'm able to pivot from it. And I know I don't want to regress back to who I was. So I don't claim like these PTSD moments. I find myself like maybe, getting in a shell sometimes, but I'm like, hell no, I deserve to be here. What they pay me, I deserve it. I deserve all of the things.
All of it.
All of the things. So I'm just in a space of pivot. If you don't like what's going on, you don't like where you at, you don't like how you're being treated, stop, process it, regroup, cry, do what you need to do, get yourself together. Because again, as Black women, we do what we got to do and are resilient. So that was long-winded, but I just had to get that out.
No, Janae, it was needed. And, I look at all the women that have been featured on this Coffee and Chat this month. And I even have one, she's up here for next week, Dr. Eatman. I'm sure she can even attest to some of the things that, as Black women, we go through, and we always have to suppress how we feel for others. And Desmond actually posted a question that I want to ask you all too. Do you feel that there's always a need to perform better than your white counterparts? I know for me, I have a very interesting background. Not only am I a lawyer, but I also am a librarian. I also have been an educator, and I'm about to start a PhD program in the fall. And even with all of these degrees I have, I'm still challenged, because maybe I don't speak as, I'm gonna just be candid, as white as they want me to speak. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. So sometimes I do start speaking fast, and you have to take the time to understand what I'm saying, but oftentimes we have to do what they want us to do. We have to act the way they want us to act. We have to dress the way they want us to dress. And if we don't, then it's depressing. And Janaea, you remember the last job that I had as well. I had to resign because I had a white man in a meeting, one of the only Black leadership, only 2 Black leadership, and I was one of them. He said, I'm prejudiced. And even though his comment may not have meant what he thought it meant, it hurt me. It hurt me because I'm at a table with all white people and you're saying you're prejudiced. So, as Black women, we do have to deal with so much. So do you feel that there is a need to perform better than your white counterparts? And I'll start off with Dr. Brown. And I know one of the things too, Dr. Brown, I have a degree from A&T. I also have a degree from Drexel like you. And I'm gonna tell you, I had a really good experience at Drexel. My department, I had a very good experience, but I have also heard stories about coming from an HBCU and going to a mainstream white university and their experiences. So I'll start off with you.
Yeah, I had a great experience at Drexel. And I think part of that was the foundation that was laid at A&T, right? Mm-hmm. So I know Dr. Eatman is here as well. When we were there in electrical engineering, like sisters, I guess the brothers were awesome too, but like we were awesome, right? We had study groups. We were able to develop that network, develop our technical skills and our technical acumen in a way that we were, at least I know I was confident in what I knew, right? And second guessing what I knew because of who I am was not something I'd experienced, right? So I think that foundation and those roots run very deep. Like I am one of those people who can be loud and wrong, right? And that confidence has stayed with me. But that's just how we were, right? We sat at the front of the class, we answered questions, we were, getting the grade. We were awesome in our, electrical engineering expertise as we were developing it, right, as students. And so I think that has stayed with me. I also think that there's some benefit of, I'll just say age, getting older, right? Where you tend to care less, right? The older you get, because of, having had good therapists, prayer, all of those things, a good circle, a good network, being able to recognize when other people's issues are theirs, right? And not owning them because, like I say to people, I've only ever been a Black woman. So I don't know nothing about nobody else, right? But I do, like what I know, I absolutely know. And, if other people can't handle that, recognizing that that's really their issue, right? That's all on them. And it really has nothing to do with me. And as long as I am clear about that, I think that comes through. It's not something that I can say I had when I graduated from A&T, but it's something that, again, as maybe I've got older, I just don't care no more, or I've seen enough, right, to also know that there's a lot of smoke being blown by lots of people, and try to really conduct myself and do work that demonstrates the confidence I can back up what I say.
Absolutely.
Right. And you find that there are a lot of people in these spaces who absolutely cannot. And I've learned to see through that and be, this sounds kind of harsh, but, be equally dismissive when I know people are just blowing smoke. Like, I don't have time for that. Right. Because of the fact that I know I need to be better than, and I don't have time to waste. And so I think that is something that I've learned through the years that I carry into spaces when I do the work, because I know I don't have time to waste with the BS. Like, I just don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I answered the question at all.
No, you did. You answered it perfectly. That's important. That's really important. And it's a common thread between all of us too, to seek therapy. While we're in these positions, it's unfortunate that we have to go into positions with that mind frame that we are Black women. Okay, yes, I am just as great as you are. It's like, we have to continue promoting affirmations for ourselves. Like, I have affirmations in my closet. I have affirmations everywhere. So, it's like on our daily walk, whether it's in our professional or personal life. There you go, Jessica. We have to always have these affirmations. And is it fair? And I guess, like you said, I don't know, Dr. Brown, because I only know being a Black woman. And as a Black woman, I know this is something that I have to always do. So no, you answered it perfectly.
Yeah, and I'll add that I've also come to learn and recognize the power in that, and that I try to impart to young people and people more or less young, that who we are is perfect. Right. And, what we bring to the table and the ways in which we bring are like none other. And that is something to be proud of. Right. And we don't hear that enough. And I think that our contributions to any conversation are so important and are so impactful that I can't ever think of a time when I spoke up that I regretted it. Right. But I can think of lots of times where I didn't say something and I sure do wish I had. Like, you walk out there like, dang, if I had said this and then they had said that, I would have said, right? Like, you see stuff, you don't speak up. I can count times, I can't even count the number of times where I've regretted it, but I've never regretted speaking up and speaking my truth. And I think that is something I think, young people should really hear and know the importance and value of.
And I'm glad you said that, Dr. Brown, too, because I have a contract with a school system, and their teachers are listening to this and they're able to get professional development. And so I do a lot of diversity trainings, and I share with educators the importance of hearing your students, because oftentimes, particularly our white educators, they dismiss our students. They don't take the time to let the students see that, see Janae Littlejohn on their screen. Here I am bringing people from literally all around the world to show students that, oh, you can be an engineer, you could be a dentist, you can be in architecture, you could be whatever you want to. But a lot of times our teachers dismiss our students and they're not able to tell their truth. So I'm happy that you were able to share that. Mm-hmm. Janaea, we'll start with you. We'll come to you now. So do you think that there is a need to perform better than your white counterparts?
I think I think the way I present myself, all those things. But with this new role, I'm living in my truth from the gate, because I want to, it's like we assimilate to them what their world looks like. Y'all gonna have to come in my space. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to operate on a daily basis, like just being someone who I am not. like just be able to be my authentic self. And I wrote here like code switching and doing things like that is it's a big thing, right? It's a big thing. But I find myself, you know, I think Black women just generally, we have a like a spunk about us. And even though at times in life I had dimmed my light, they love it. They'll love it here. You keep being who you are. They're going to love it. And are going to begin to assimilate to who you are and what energy you bring, right? Because people will talk to me and say things like, you know, they'll just straight ask a question. No, hey, good morning, happy Monday. How you doing first, right? Give me a little salutation, you know? So those small things that they make a difference, you know? And I think a lot of times I feel like I fight with like masculine energy, masculine versus feminine energy, and you know, working on being more soft. I'm from the North, but that doesn't account for why I am like, you know, what my personality is and how I communicate. But I do think it does come from that a little bit. So just working on being able to be myself, be in a soft, well, show my femininity a little more than the masculine side, even though everything around me is masculine. That is very important. What else did I have here? Because I was writing notes so I didn't get sidetracked. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, I think that's all I have to contribute to that question.
Okay. I love Janaea. Jessica, what about you?
So I think in general, I just try to present myself well and be on top of everything all the time. And that's just how I was brought up by my mom. Like I just feel like I have to be the best I can be all the time. As far as my white counterparts, I don't feel like they have to. I don't know if I'm saying that. I don't feel like they have to. Like they can just be who they are and everything be hunky dory and everything is just, you know, bells and whistles and they didn't do nothing. But I feel like I got to do all this stuff. And so, but again, it's just me not trying to compete against them, but just in some of the instances I've been in where I'll be in a meeting and I talk about everything I've done and it'd be like 20 different things and they'll list like 5 when they report out. And I'm just kind of like, and that's fine. Okay. Yeah. But, you know, it's just one of those things and, you know, I just deal with it.
And see, that kind of goes back to what Dr. Brown said. She started living in her truth, you know, and that's something that, you know, I had to do too. I'm not going to go in and try to overcompensate for what you didn't do, because I feel like as Black women in particular, that's what we're always doing. We're always
even down to my clothes during.
And I was going to say that from your clothes, from your hair. Janaea and I had locks before. You know, I can only imagine with Dr. Brown and Miss West, you know, your hairstyles. I had people that wanted to touch my hair. You know, so it was very intrusive, you know, but even when I give presentations, I tell people this all the time. I have to go in there and study my audience. So before I even plan out my outfits, I have to know the audience, because I don't want to come off as what Janaea said too. I don't want to come off too masculine. I want to make sure my tone is set. I want to make sure I practice my hand gestures. I want to make sure that even though I'm really passionate about what I'm speaking on, that I'm not so loud or my pitch isn't too high, because all of those things are what we have to do. And even though we're talking to a whole panel of engineers, you know, it's in other professions too. So it's unfortunate that we have to deal with this.
And to add to that, I feel like a lot of times when my counterparts who are white make a mistake, right? Or just human error, it's more forgivable than if I do it.
Yeah.
That is something definitely experience. So it's like you have to be perfect Patty, but perfect Patty isn't so perfect all the time, right?
Right.
So it is definitely an added stress that you really got to take a step back and set boundaries, set priorities for yourself in these spaces.
What about you, Miss West?
So I think it was, do I feel the need to perform or overperform? That was the question. So
do you feel the need to perform better than your white counterparts?
yeah, so I would say definitely starting out, I felt pressure. And I can't say that it was direct pressure or pressure I just put on myself because just being Black, being a woman, knowing that I'm going into this environment where I am the minority, I just feel like I need to make sure I show improve. I need to make sure that I am like doing all the things, and that, because I'm the only one, in my mind, I represent for all of us. So you're not gonna look at me and say, oh, see, now nope, not here. I'm not gonna be that one. So it was pressure that I put on myself just because of the environment that I was in. I'm not gonna say that there wasn't maybe pressure that could have come from the outside, but I couldn't even focus on that because I was too focused on making sure that I was doing my best and I was showing up at the highest level possible, so that so that when they look to hire another Black engineer, they can say like, oh yeah, we want we want someone like Toria or Dr. Brown or just like, yeah, because that in the reality, that's what happens. So I'm the representative in this all majority white male environment. I'm the Black representative, I should say, Black female in this majority white male environment. So this is what I'm going to do. Now that's early on. I think like Dr. Brown and others, now that I've been in my career, I've established myself, my reputation speaks for itself. It's okay. If I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. If I don't want to do it, I'm going to say no to that project because it's not in line with what I want to do. Like, it's okay, but it takes time to get there. It's a process. It takes, your confidence level has to be, it takes just maturity, confidence, etc. And, the peaks and the valleys of the journey throughout one's career, that you just go through. No matter what career you're in, it takes time to get there. And that's where, I am now. And that doesn't mean that I don't have my moments. There are times that I'm still like, oh, but they are fleeting. They don't last. Yeah. They don't stay around.
Yeah. Oh, well, we have about 8 minutes left because I don't hold anyone past the 1 o'clock mark. I know time has flown so fast. And I have one final question for each of you all. And you could give me the response in 1 minute or less, that would help. What are you most proud of? What are you most proud of? Your biggest accomplishment? Whoo, that's a lot, especially looking at your bios. You all are impressive. You want to start off, Dr. Brown?
No, but let's see. So I'll say, I think most, right? Professionally, I think one of the things I'm most proud about is an event that we had at in the Obama White House, where we brought about 100 and some odd Black and Brown students from the DC area to the White House to learn about STEM. It was called White House Day at the Labs, and they got to spend the entire day learning about STEM and seeing, different parts of the White House. And so I know that I'd like to believe that was, impactful, a powerful moment for local students to be able to come and see Black and Brown engineers, Black and Brown White House staffers, right, doing all of those things under President Obama. So I think professionally, that's probably one of the proudest things I've done. Personally, I'd say, raising my kids, right, having a family, one is graduated from college, from undergrad, and the other one is a sophomore now. And so I think personally, that's one of the things I'm most proudest of.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. Super awesome. Jessica?
Mine isn't like major. Well, I guess it's kind of major, but one of the big things at here in Tennessee with the Tennessee Department of Transportation and their highway safety program, when I got here, they did not have an office to implement the program, and so they were getting millions and millions of dollars every year, but they did not have anyone to help spend it. And so I guess one of my accomplishments would be for the first 5 years, I spent time developing relationships, building programs, building plans to get the Tennessee Department of Transportation to develop a project safety office and build a staff of members, bringing in training to help them implement their highway safety improvement program. I just think I really had to think about it. It's not like an award or anything like that, but I've had to build a culture, a safety culture, a highway safety culture over my career here in Tennessee. And I love it. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. Shout out to TDOT. They are just some of the best people to work with in the world. So I would call that one of my greatest accomplishments.
I love it. I love it. Janaea?
I think in the immediate, so me obtaining this role that I am now, I'm in now being a territory manager over the Mid-Atlantic states. So, you ask for something, you pray for something, and you get it. Like God said, bigger, more, and dropped me right in the position. So ending out my 2020 with a bang, and that absolutely was it for where I am in my career thus far. As well as late fall, I launched my first business, which is online portable hookahs. But I took the engineering piece, the chemical engineering piece.
Janaea.
Huh?
Put it inside the chat box too.
Okay. And I've been able to curate my own shisha, which does not contain nicotine or tobacco. So, this social experience can happen for those in a safe way. So that's my baby. And I'm just really proud of myself because it was like, how you doing? You about to jump into the rope for double dutch. You like this, right? About to jump in, scared. No, my friends and family, girl, just go ahead. You're going to learn on the job, right? And that's exactly what I'm doing. And, processes have gotten, streamlining things. So I am very proud of myself because it's something that, it was the idea, was birthed from the pandemic. So we could be socially, safe and still enjoy, do something social that a lot of people enjoy doing. So just proud of myself. And that's one of my biggest accomplishments to date.
I love it.
Thank you.
Miss West?
That's a tough question for me, to be honest. Because I don't know. Accomplishments professionally, like, I don't know. In my mind, I haven't done anything earth-shattering. But what I will say, I think for me has been an accomplishment, which is not one thing, but just when I think about my career, that every job that I've had, whether it's within the same company or a different company, I literally was said, I think it's time for a change, and I got it. I want to go to it. I want to completely go from hardware to software. No experience in software. I got it. Okay, it's time to upgrade. Now I've got my base. Now I want to upgrade a little bit in software. I got it.
Manifestations, speaking it into existence.
And it's like those, and when you hear other people and they talk about, oh, I'm trying to do this, and I'm like, I don't know that experience. Thank God. I know it's real, so I don't discount it, but I don't know that experience. And so it's not an award, like Jessica said, but that's an accomplishment to me professionally, for me professionally. And then personally, I have a 13-year-old daughter, Earthside, who is amazing. And so the fact that I get to be her mom, the fact that I get to be a representation for her of what just Black female excellence as best as I can do it, show her what that looks like every day, is a huge accomplishment. And married to an Aggie engineer, another Aggie engineer. So we're just the one big happy Aggie family.
I am so delighted that I was able to speak with you all today. Like, thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you. I want to end with, we have to do an Aggie Pride. Who want to shout out the Aggie Pride? Can I let you do it, Jesse? Like, I really
Aggie Pride.
Aggie
Pride.
Pride.
Yes, I love it.